Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something lots of people wonder about. Just how different is the Marvel Cinematic Universe from the Marvel Comics?
Yeah, it's a big topic.
Our mission is simple. Pull out the key bits of info from the sources you've shared, give you a shortcut to being really clued in, totally impartial, of course.
Exactly. We're not just listing changes. We want to break down the facts, the perspectives, help you get why these differences matter, not just what they are.
Okay, let's get started then. How about character origins? That seems like the core, right?
Definitely.
And Ultron, that's a huge one. In the comics, it's Hank Pym, Ant-Man, who creates him. It's this really personal, almost Frankenstein story.
Right. Very much a tale of creation gone wrong, a father-son kind of dynamic almost.
But the MCU flipped that completely. They gave that origin to Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. Why?
Well, it seems cinematically driven. It put the responsibility squarely on Tony Stark, fitting his whole arc with technology and, trying to protect the world, but maybe going too far.
Tied into his character journey from the start.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
It worked for the movie's narrative, reinforcing his themes. But yeah, for comic fans, losing that Hank Pym connection, that was a significant change to the character's emotional roots.
Okay, so from single characters to teams. The Avengers lineup, that's another classic difference.
Oh, yeah.
Comics originals. Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Ant-Man, and Wasp. But the first movie, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye.
A very different initial team, and you can see the logic, film-wise.
Yeah.
They use characters audiences already met, like Cap and Black Widow.
Creates instant chemistry, I guess. Easier for viewers to jump in.
Exactly. Built-in familiarity. But, it does raise that question. For comic purists, seeing founding members like Ant-Man and Wasp show up much later, did it feel a bit like they missed the boat?
Yeah, interesting point. Let's zoom out further. Cosmic stuff, the Infinity Stones.
Or Infinity Gems, as they were in the comics?
Right, gems. And in the comics, they felt bigger. More history, Guardians, that sort of thing.
They definitely had a deeper, more sprawling lore. The MCU streamlined them into 6 powerful artifacts. MacGuffins, really, driving the whole saga.
Which gave the movies a clear through line. Very effective for storytelling on screen.
Absolutely. Super effective for that big arc.
Yeah.
But it meant simplifying things. Some of the deeper, more philosophical comic ideas like the Living Tribunal or Eternity, those got left behind.
Sacrificing some cosmic weirdness for narrative focus.
You could say that. It made the conflict maybe more grounded, less abstractly cosmic than some of the comic storylines.
Speaking of motivations, Thanos, wow. Comic Thanos is trying to impress Lady Death, right? By wiping out half the universe.
Yeah, it's this grand, almost operatic, morbid romance. Very comic booky in the best way.
The movie version, though, much more logical, in a twisted way.
Totally different motivation. He's presented as this utilitarian philosopher almost, saving the universe from overpopulation by, drastic means.
So, less cosmic love story, more grim calculus.
Right. It makes him perhaps more relatable, or at least his reasoning is something audiences can grasp, even if it's horrifying. It taps into real-world anxieties about resources. Depends what kind of villain resonates more with you, I suppose.
Let's talk powers. How heroes actually do things. Mrs. Marvel, Kamala Khan. Big changes there, too.
Oh, definitely. In the comics, she's an Inhuman. Gets her powers from Terrigen Mist. And their polymorphic stretching, shape-shifting.
Kind of like Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic.
Exactly. Very physical, very stretchy. But the MCU version, her powers come from a bangle, cosmic energy. She creates these hard-light constructs.
It's cool on screen, very visual.
Yeah, visually distinct. And it tied her into the cosmic side of the MCU, which seemed like a deliberate choice. But some fans definitely missed the original, more unique Inhuman origin, and those specific stretching powers felt like a loss of her original identity for some.
Okay, another character arc shift. Sam Wilson, Falcon. Comic Sam is often portrayed as a social worker, very community-focused.
Rooted in Harlem, yeah. Very much a street-level community hero background.
The MCU version leans much more into the military veteran angle, right? High-tech wings, partnership with Cap.
Absolutely. Fits the more grounded military tech aesthetic, especially of those Captain America movies he debuted in. It highlights how a character's core can sometimes be reshaped to fit the medium and the specific story being told.
Right, the essence changes depending on the context.
It's always a balancing act in adaptation.
And then, the one that hung over everything for years, Mutants. The X-Men.
Ah, yes. The elephant in the room.
So central in the comics, a massive part of the universe, but basically absent from the MCU for the longest time because of, movie rights issues.
Exactly. Fox held the rights. So Marvel Studios couldn't use them. It forced them to pivot, like pushing the Inhumans for a while as a sort of substitute.
But that limitation maybe forced creativity elsewhere?
You could argue that. It made them dig deeper into their catalog, elevate characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy. But now, of course, Disney owns Fox.
And we're starting to see those mutant teases creep in. It'll be fascinating to see how they integrate them now.
It really will. It changes the whole landscape again.
So after all this, comics versus movies, which one's better? Is that even the right question?
Probably not. The sources, and just looking at them, suggest they're different beasts. Neither is inherently superior. Comics offer this vast, almost limitless canvas. Decades of lore, complex themes.
Endless stories, really.
Yeah, and the MCU, it delivers incredible visual spectacle, tight emotional character arcs, and a cohesive narrative built for a huge mainstream audience.
They kind of feed off each other, don't they?
Totally. They complement each other. Like you said, maybe like remixes of classic tracks. Each version brings something unique.
So what really stands out to you after this deep dive, thinking about how these two massive versions of Marvel keep influencing each other? Where do you see it going? It's this constant conversation between the page and the screen. Fascinating stuff to ponder.